Member for Vernon-Lumby.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move that the motion number 208 standing in my name on the order paper, that this House calls on provincial government to address gap in price regulation from private wastewater utility companies to ensure that they charge fair rates to their customers. Honourable Speaker, as a proud MLA for Vernon-Lumby, I'm honoured to rise today as to present motion 208 because this issue speaks directly to fairness, transparency, accountability, and the responsibility we have as a government to ensure that all British Columbians have equal access to essential services at reasonable and sustainable costs. Over the past several years, I have heard from many residents in my community from Silver Star and area who are deeply concerned about the growing costs of private wastewater utilities. And I want to give them a huge shout out for their tireless advocacy over the years, incredible work and persistence. The level of public support for this motion has been significant. More than 30 and still coming in my way, constituents have written to my office and to the Ministry of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship appreciating this motion and asking our government to take action to create stronger protection for our communities facing excessive wastewater charges. For decades, residents in Silver Star community have been advocating for oversight and regulation of private sewer utilities. Their concerns are not new, and unfortunately, neither are rising costs that they continue to face. At a time when families everywhere are facing global affordability challenges, rising costs, and economic uncertainty, rural residents should not be burdened by utility fees that continue to increase without meaningful accountability or oversight. Our constituents shared with me that homeowners recently received another increase on their 2025 wastewater invoices following substantial hikes in the previous years. They described that financial strain many residents are facing as payment policies have also changed, requiring people to pay much earlier in order to receive discounted rates. For many households, coming up with thousands of dollars upfront is simply not realistic. Another resident explained that since 2023, they have experienced nearly 36% increase in fixed fees alongside major increases in consumption charges. These are not minor adjustments. These are substantial increases that families, seniors, and working people are struggling to absorb. Madam Speaker, this highlights one of the central problems with private wastewater utilities in many rural communities. Residents often have no choice when it comes to their provider. These utilities typically operate within single service area, meaning homeowners cannot switch companies or seek more affordable options elsewhere. In practice, this creates monopoly conditions where customers are effectively locked into one service with very limited protection against unreasonable pricing. Without proper oversight, residents are left vulnerable to escalating costs year after year. Research provided by the Silver Star Property Owner Association demonstrates just how serious these disparities have become. In some cases, annual wastewater costs for residents range between $1,300 to $1,500, while nearby municipalities pay close to $400 to $500 for similar services. Some homeowners are paying as much as 3 times more than the residents in neighboring communities for the comparable service. Honourable Speaker, this is not simply about utility bill. This is about fairness. It's about ensuring where person lives does not determine whether they are forced to shoulder disproportionately financial pressure for essential service. Rural British Columbia deserves same transparency, accountability, and protections that other residents expect and receive. This issue has been raised for many years, in fact, as far back as 2005. During the Union of British Columbia Municipalities conversation, the City of Vernon brought forward a private sewer utilities in same way that private water utilities are regulated. The motion was endorsed, yet then 20 years later, many residents are still waiting for meaningful action. This motion calls on government to introduce legislation that this would help to ensure wastewater utilities companies charge fair, reasonable rates to their customer, and goal is simple but important: to establish transparency, accountability, fairness, stronger consumer protections, and the people who rely on these systems are every single day. So I encourage all members to support this. Thank you.